Viewers at home, you are welcome back to Al-haqq Networks. Inshallah, we've just discussed honesty on this program, and right here with me, we have a special person. I call him my digital Amir. He's one of us, and he has been the one sitting on this chair, and today we are putting him on the hot seat. Let's welcome my brother, my friend, my Amir, Ustaz Abdul Aziz Ibrahim. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for that, and alhamdulillah, thank Allah for everything.
Alhamdulillah.
And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, viewers at home. It's been good, alhamdulillah.
Thank God. We just had Eid al-Adha, and everything has been going on smooth.
Yes, mashallah.
Do you have anything to say to that?
Yes, it has been a blessed celebration, and we thank Allah for giving us, the life to see, to witness that particular celebration. It was marvelous, and we enjoyed ourselves while in the studio last time, inshallah.
Right. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah for that. Viewers at home, this is a segment where you can call in, and you, inshallah, if you call in, we'll give you some little questions based on what we have discussed in the studio today. And inshallah, if you get it right, there are gifts for you to be won, inshallah. And today, we'll be talking about importance of Hijra. You may be hearing it, Hijra. What is Hijra? We will know everything today. The concept, the importance, how did Hijra came about, you know today, inshallah. Ustaz, bismillah.
Thank you very much. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my respected viewers at home. Inshallah azza wa jalla, we thank Allah azza wa jalla for giving us another life to witness this day. The topic at hand is the importance or the significance of Hijra. Inshallah, before we dive into this very beautiful topic, let us first of all know what the Hijra is, the meaning of the Hijra. The Hijra is an Arabic word which was derived from the root word Hajara, Ha, Ja, and Ra. It means to emigrate, to migrate, to move from one place to another, to transit from one positional state to another positional state. The Hijra generally can be used to connote various things. And two major things that we can use the word Hijra, which is to migrate, is both the physical terms as well as the spiritual or the moral terms. The moral terms it goes thus. For example, someone is doing something that is against the will of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and he's generally a sinner, and he moves from being a sinner to being a good person. He has made the moral or the spiritual Hijra from being the disobedient person to a repentant person. So this is one of the connotations that we can use the word Hijra for. And another thing we can also use the Hijra for is the physical connotation, which means people, a person or group of persons moving from one place to another for the purpose of finding a new ground, for the purpose of finding a new fertile land or a place whereby they can worship Allah Azza wa Jalla freely. So these are the two connotations that goes with the word Hijra. And today, inshallah, the Hijra that we'll be talking about is the physical Hijra that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam engaged on about during the 622 CE, which is the time Allah gave him the nubuwah, the messengership, inshallah. Before that, let us know that the Hijra itself is not particular to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam alone, in the sense that other prophets that Allah Azza wa Jalla has sent to earth also, did one or two a Hijra, which is migration. One of them is, let's just cite a few examples here, which is, first of all, we know the very, very popular story of Noah, Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, where Allah commanded him, Fasna'u fuluka bi'a'yunina. Fasna'u fuluka bi'a'yunina. Build a ship or build an ark under our supervision. What did Allah use this to tell us? he was preparing Nabi Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam to prepare for a journey. And it's not just a journey, and it's a journey that takes strength, it's a journey that takes resilience, it's a journey that takes much preparation. And when Nabi Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was embarking on this, the people at the point in time were mocking him. Now, Noah was building a ship on a dry land. That was, to his people, one of the greatest error. And to make things really worse, he was building it not just on a dry land, but far out of reach of any sea. And here he is preaching the word of Allah, telling them to come to Allah, to make the Hijra, the moral Hijra, from being a polytheist or idol worshipper to being those who will obey Allah, and they rejected until they saw the reality when the rain came and the flood came, and they were all saved. The Noah and his people were all saved, and the people who disbelieved, who refused to go with the message of Allah, were drowning, and they all drowned in that scenario. So this is one of the examples we can also cite, and also there are so many, like the that of the Lot or the Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, where Allah commanded him to leave his people, the Sodom and Gomorrah, and Allah commanded him to flee from that particular situation or particular area, and he destroyed the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. Also, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam also made several hijrah. One of them was when he migrated from Iraq down to around Palestine, Hebron, to be precise, where he's currently being buried. He made a hijrah from that Iraq, where he was, telling his people, don't worship idols, leave the issue of idols. And they sought to kill him, and they sought to plan against him to make sure the thing that he was, telling them did not come to pass. So Allah also commanded him to make hijrah. And on that journey, that was where he found his second wife, Hijra, alayhi salam. And also when Hijra gave birth, Allah also commanded him again to make a hijrah, but not for himself, for the infant child Ismail, to migrate to the Arabia Peninsula, where today we have where the Islam came up, inshallah. So, and also that of Moses, which was very clear to everybody. Moses also made hijrah from Egypt, and he crossed the sea, where Allah helped him to part the sea, and they all moved and crossed to the promised land, where Allah Azza wa Jalla promised them the benefits of what he has promised them. Today, inshallah, let's just dive a little bit to the history of the Hijrah itself, that of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. During the pre-Islamic era, the Quraysh at that point in time were a people who were worshipping idols, and they took these idols so seriously, to the extent that around the Kaaba area they had about over 300 idols which they worship. And at the time, the Prophet ﷺ was just an infant. They knew when he was born and when he was growing up, when he became a man, and he was very trusted. And suddenly, from nowhere, he was telling the chief of the Quraysh, those that have been worshipping idol for so many years, that Allah is calling them to oneness, to polytheism, to monotheism, that asking them to leave polytheism or idol worshipping and all that. This was very strange to the Quraysh chief at that point in time, and they sought to plan against the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Several attempts was made on his life to kill him, to make sure that that particular thing he was, professing, or that thing he was, preaching, did not see the light of day. Those who also joined him were being, they were faced with so many hostility, to the extent that even some were killed, some were tortured, and the forces that were around at that point in time was so strong that even people could not even come out to say they profess the oneness of Allah. So it was so tough that the Prophet ﷺ has to make hijrah and has to move from Mecca to Medina. Before that happened, there were too many hostility that led them to move out from Mecca. They were expelled out of Mecca. They lived in the desert for almost 2 or 3 years, in the scorching sun. And an embargo was also placed on them that nobody will sell to them, neither will anybody buy from them. So they were there, and during that hardship, he lost his very dear wife, Khadija alayhi salam, and as well as during the process, he lost his uncle that was giving him protection, Abu Talib, inshallah. From there on, as Allah will have it, since the Arabian land, which is Mecca at this point in time, was not fertile for them to practice the deen of Allah, Allah made it easy for them to be able to find a new ground. And as Allah will have it, the people of Medina stretched their hands of warmness to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a few treaties that led them to move from Mecca to Medina. And when they got to Medina, Medina was a very fertile land for them, and a lot of things sprang up. First of all, the ukhuwa, the brotherhood in Islam was strengthened. This was the first thing that the Prophet ﷺ focused on, the brotherhood. He strengthened them. And the warring tribe, which is the Aus and the Khazraj, that were in turmoil over the years, the Prophet put an end to that conflict between them, and there was peace in Arabia. And this peace led to the establishment of the Islamic State, as it were, at that time. And the Prophet ﷺ was given the leadership of not just within the Medina, but the entire Medina as a whole. And he became the commander-in-chief. So you can imagine where it was not fertile. If they had stayed in Mecca, maybe perhaps Islam would have grown. But because that Hijra itself is very important in the life of a Muslim, like I've said before, it could be physical Hijra, it could be spiritual or moral Hijra. This is very, very key to the life of every Muslim. So if a ground is not fertile at a point in time, you have to move to a fertile ground. And this is very much allowed in Islam to embark on. So the Prophet ﷺ did a lot of things that led to the establishment of the Islamic State, which deal with the social, political, and other economic benefits and independence. That the independence that they enjoyed was so much that the Arabian Peninsula at that point in time never saw the massive flow of income at Medina at that point in time.
Viewers at home, you are still onto Al-haqq Networks, and we are onto the bayan of the importance of Hijra. And with me here today, I have Brother Abdul Aziz Ibrahim doing just Ustaz.
Okay, mashallah. So as we were saying, this Hijra, brought forth a lot of people coming to Medina to trade with the Muslims there, and they saw fairness. They saw fairness in trade, and they saw the beauty, the beauty of having to, place your hope in Allah and do every other thing, as it was mentioned in the previous segment where we were talking about honesty. And honesty was part of the things that led the Muslims to leave their trade, and go for prayers. Imagine in a land, Medina, before the Prophet ﷺ came, was not a safe land. Was not safe in the sense that there were two warring tribes, and as well as the Jewish came into Medina at that point in time to settle down, waiting for the arrival of the Prophet, even before the Prophet was born. But this is a very long story that, inshallah, we will not be able to cover on this particular topic. So it is that honesty that led a lot of people to even come to Islam. Imagine a land that is not safe. People brings their trade, and when it's time for prayers, they abandon their trade and go for prayers. And when they are done, everybody comes to his trade without a morsel of seed being stolen from their trade. So all of this metamorphosized to become a powerful empire, and today, inshallah we are enjoying the benefits of that Hijra, inshallah. The significance. There are among the significance of the Hijra, they are so numerous, but inshallah, because of time, we'll be able to take a few ones. First of all, is its significance allowed the Muslims to set up a Muslim community. During the time they were in Mecca, they were practicing Islam out of fear of being attacked. They were practicing for about 3 years when the message came. they were in-house. Nobody could say La ilaha illallah outside. But when they got to Medina, it was something else, and they were able to establish the Islamic community. The Ukhuwa was there, the brotherhood was there, and every other thing that led to having an ideal state. The Prophet had an ideal state whereby everybody was looked after. Those that were poor, they were looked after. Those that were rich, they had to pay their zakat so that it can be distributed to those who do not have, and a lot of other benefits that the Hijra gave to us. If they had not moved 10 years into his 20 years into his nubuwa, into his messengership, would have been a turmoil, because the warring tribe, which is the Makkah at this point in time, were constantly at war. Even when they moved to Medina, they were bringing wars like the Uhud, Battle of Uhud and Badr and all that. They even brought war from Makkah to Medina to see the hostility. But as Allah will have it, the state has already matured. They have already grown to defend themselves and to defend Islam. And that was how the state was able to be established, and it was very, very firm. And this is the benefit and the significance and the importance of the Hijra that they made from Makkah to Medina.
All right, viewers at home, we are still on to Al-Bayan segment, and we are talking about importance and significance of Hijra. Quickly, we'll go to the VCR to see a video of the chief imam of Edo State, Imam the Fatah and Ablele, where he talks about the importance of Hijra.
So the Hijra, which means that it's only been about 10 days before the year will run out, 1442 AH. And so we're preparing for the new Hijra calendar, which is 1443 AH. And first of all, we have to glorify Allah, thank Allah for everything, and to thank Him to allow us to witness in the coming year, in about 10 days' time. We need to be up and doing. We need to celebrate it. Because Hijra marks a milestone in the development of Islam. That was when Islam was internationalized, when the Prophet migrated from Mecca to Medina. That was the beginning of the internationalization of Islam. And so it's a day, a period that we should celebrate. We need to organize lectures, symposiums, seminars, bring in scholars to tell us the significance of that day. It's very important. And by the grace of God, we are already planning towards that. I believe so many organizations will also be doing that. It's a day worth celebrating, and I pray that God should spare our life to witness that day and find out the day.
Viewers at home, that was Chief Imam of Edo State, Benin City, Chief Imam Abdul Fatah and Ablele, telling us the importance of Hijra and what we need to do. Is a new Islamic year, and we, the Muslim, needs to be steadfast in all our doings. Ustaz, you are in the importance of Hijra, and you have highlighted about two now. So can we have some of them more?
Yes, mashallah. Like the one I've mentioned before, that it allowed the Muslim state to be well established, and they got an upper hand in the leadership of Medina. Another very important one was that it changed the history, of the world as we have it today. Because of this Hijra, and the Hijra was embedded in the life of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This Hijra allowed them to spread even up to China. Even there are communities in China now that if you trace back to a particular Sahaba, the companion of the Prophet, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught them the importance of Hijra and the benefit it will be for the world. They started to migrate, and this particular Hijra led to a lot of people to move to Sham, to move to Palestine, to move to even Africa, as it were then. And one of the things that really attracted Islam in Africa was the one I've mentioned before, where people would go to a place, and it's time for you to offer your prayers. You leave, you abandon your trade and go for prayer without even minding if somebody is going to steal it. And this really attracted attracted people to Islam and made them to accept Islam, or within the North African region, and which inshallah, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, is spreading down, and inshallah is fast growing, mashallah. So it changed the history and a lot of other discoveries that were made by Muslims, which was transcended to the modern day technologies. They are so numerous. So the Hijra was embedded in the Sahabas. They all moved. They didn't. When the Prophet ﷺ died, 2-3 years from there, they started to move to different places to spread Islam, and this Hijra continued until a certain century where most of the Sahabas were now, having to have those that follow them and those that follow them, and the Hijra was also embedded in them, and this allowed us to, have a very concise information about Islam, and that is what we are enjoying today. It is that Hijra that has reached us that we are enjoying today. Otherwise, if they have not done the Hijra, Islam would have been embedded within the Arabian Peninsula and will not reach us, and that alone, inshallah, it's a very great one. Another very good benefit that we will also get from this Hijra is that it marked the Islamic calendar. The Hijra marked the Islamic calendar, and today Islam has its own calendar. Prior to that of the Prophet ﷺ, people used to count based on months. There were 12 months then that the Arabian Peninsula, the Arabians were using, but there was no concise time for marking the years and all that. It is also the benefit of this Hijra that led Umar radiallahu anh during his reign around 638 CE, that he established the counting of the Hijra from the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he moved from Mecca down to Medina, and that is where the Islamic calendar actually starts. Inshallah, talking about this calendar, there are about 12 lunar calendar in the Islamic calendar, in the Islamic Hijri calendar. This is why for our non-Muslim viewers, we count based on the lunar. We use the moon to count our month. That is why you see that during the month of fasting, we will always be looking at the moon, to see if we will sight it before we commence fasting, inshallah. And if we do not sight it, this becomes something that we will not have to wait a day, to.
All right, I think we have a call. Hello, salam alaikum. Good evening. Where are you calling from and your name?
I'm calling from Aduawa.
Your name, please?
My name is Abdul
Abdul Kabir. Okay. Do you have a contribution or a question for us?
Before your program, I want to ask questions.
Okay.
I want to ask you questions.
Okay. Based on what Ustaz have been saying, we have how many months in the lunar calendar? 12 months in the lunar calendar. Inshallah. That's. Please, can you mention 3 or 4? Complete it.
Jumada al-Awwal, Jumada al-Thani, Shaban, Ramadan, Dhul-Qa'dah, Dhul-Hijjah.
All right. I think he missed the.
He missed the 7th month,
which is Rajab. But inshallah, you got it right, but you missed something. But inshallah, on behalf of Prudence Energy, he said we should give you a special gift from Prudence Energy. And
policy of Prudent Energy. Congratulations, brother Abdul Kabir. We say Jazakallah Khairan for calling into the program.
Thank you very much. Our viewers at home, you can also win a prize. Well, all you need to do is just call on the segment and we'll ask you simple questions based on what we have done. Okay, quickly, and then we'll go to the VCR to watch a very important video. This video is very important to us in Al-haqq. Al-haqq Networks is a daughter of one of our pioneer father who graduated from the School of Law. If you have it, please, can you take it?
رقت عيناي شوقا ولطيبة ذرفت عشقا فأتيت إلى حبيبي فاهدأ يا قلب ورفقا صل على محمد السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا حبيبي يا نبي الله السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا حبيبي يا نبي.
That was a wonderful video clip. It's a graduation celebration of a daughter of one of our father, Dr. Mustafa. Ustaz, that video is very important to us, like I rightly said.
Yes.
And it's a thing of joy. We saw the lady, and we saw a young man too standing beside him.
Yes, actually, the lady is who we are celebrating at this point in time when she graduated from the law school, and that's Aisha. Recently, yesterday, right? Okay, mashallah. And we thank Allah Azza wa Jalla for this milestone. And the brother you see there also graduated, I think, 2 years ago, to be precise, and also from the law school. So we have a lot of lawyers, mashallah. We pray may Allah Azza wa Jalla use this to benefit them, and use them to benefit Islam, and also use Islam to benefit them, inshallah. We wish you well. We say congratulations, Jazakallahu khairan for everything, inshallah.
It's a thing worth celebrating. It's not easy to go to university, spend 5 years, and still go to the law school to spend another 1 year, and being able to graduate from those things. Too many ups and downs, reading at night, burning candles, and although these days they say they don't burn candles, we have rechargeable lanterns.
Yes, mashallah, but it's still the same. It boils down to the same stress.
So please, we are running out of time. I want you to quickly round up on this segment, and before then, let's make a dua for these two.
We pray may Allah Azza wa Jalla uplift them. May they not take anything that will be against that of Allah's wish and His commandment. I will pray may Allah continue to guide them and protect them wherever they want to excel to. May Allah give them the highest level and continue to guide them on that level so that all other Muslims will see them as role model, and to use them to bless the entire ummah, inshallah. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا فإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
I think we have another call. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. You're onto Al-haqq network. Can you hear us? Okay, we lost that call. There are so many call lines coming up.
Yes.
And the network is a little bit in traffic. All right, so inshallah, I want to ask you a question before we go. Does it now mean that, because when you are delivering your lecture, you talked about migrating, does it not mean that for somebody to just migrate from a place to another, even not for seeking for knowledge, maybe for a business trip or for relocating, like some of our brothers will say they are going for greener pasture, leaving the country, going to another country, can that be classified as Hijra too?
Okay, like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he said, "Faman kanat hijratuhu ila Allahi wa rasuli, fahijratuhu ila Allahi wa rasuli. Faman kana hijratuhu lidunya aw yusibuha." Whatever he has, make his hijrah for, that is what he will be benefited with. Okay. So if he make hijrah for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla to seek knowledge, for him to leave a particular hostile place to another place which will allow him to practice Islam, that he has migrated for the sake of Allah and His Prophet. But if he goes to seek livelihood other than religion, then he will be getting the benefit based on that which he has intended, inshallah. Mashallah.
Viewers at home, this is much we can take on this segment on Al-haqq Networks. We thank our brother Abdulaziz Ibrahim. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And we hope you in a short while you'll still be on this hot seat again, inshallah. I tell our viewers at home that Hijra is coming. I think we have about 10 days to now that we will be seeing the new Islamic calendar, and we are advising all our Muslim Ummah to please stay steadfast and do the right thing. Be honest in all your doings. Viewers at home, I want to tell you that you can join us on our social platform, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, at Al-haqq Networks, to get authentic Islamic content. And at this point, I'd like to say, I still remain Hamza Abdurrahman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.